Peace and love, brothers, sisters, friends, and kin. It's your homie, Pastor Earl, coming at you live and direct from the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County with this week's ABC News. Don't forget, if you or anybody connected to you has an announcement that needs to be included in our weekly segment, don't hesitate to email us that announcement at abcministries1@gmail.com no later than Tuesdays by noon. Y'all see me in my workout gear. We're getting ready to work out in the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County. I hope to see you, but if not, you'll catch this Sunday morning before the service starts, if not on Saturday, soon as we post this. Let me say thank you to all of you who attended hybrid service on the first Sunday of February. It was off of the chain. And all of you who stayed through to the church business meeting, we especially want to thank you. We were able to share some valuable information, but we also received some invaluable insights from our congregational network. As such, please note that we will host quarterly business meetings on the first Sunday of the second month of each quarter. Let me decode that for you. That simply means our next one will be the first Sunday in April. That's April 7th, and it will immediately follow our hybrid service. Furthermore, we will host a Zoom call with financial updates once every month. We'll get back to you on the specific dates of those calls and the schedule on next week. The ABC calendar link is available. You can actually now access a calendar that we will publish once a quarter. We'll also have a physical copy present in the sanctuary, and on it you can look at all of the major happenings in the life of Abyssinian each quarter, and you'd also be in the know regarding which vision team and theme we'll be highlighting that month. If you need to add anything to that calendar, you have to email abcministries1@gmail.com, but you got a QR code that you can scan and a link that you can click, and you can get access to what's happening that quarter. This past Wednesday, we resumed Vision Board Bible Study, and it was phenomenal. If you did not catch it, you need to go back on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook channel, and you need to watch it. We discussed Can I Get My Lick Back from Genesis chapter 42. We have people in the sanctuary, people on the stream. It was fantastic. However, we will not have Vision Board this week because February the 14th is Valentine's Day. Y'all type Valentine's. Make sure you put the M in the Valentine's. We will be back on February the 21st with part 2 of Can I Get My Lick Back. We'll be in the sanctuary and on the stream, so you might as well mark your calendar for that right now. February 14th is not only Valentine's Day, it also marks the end of our Black Faith Fast. I hope that you have gained some insights on creativity and clear vision by what God has been saying to you as you have been obedient, because you have been obedient, right? In following the rubric of our Black Faith Fast from February 4th all the way up through this Wednesday, February 14th. But the 14th also marks the beginning of the Lenten season. So it'll be the end of our Black Faith Fast, but it'll actually be the start of the Lenten season, which is the 40 days leading up to Resurrection Sunday. So we are asking everybody in the Abyssinian Network as a Lenten practice to read a book entitled Black Liturgies by Cole Arthur Riley. That's Black Liturgies by Cole Arthur Riley. Now, you got to get the book. The Kindle version is $12. The audio book is $15. The hard copy is $19. And the pastor of Abyssinian will buy it for you if you cannot afford it. We're going to spend some time reading it. People are going to read at their own pace, but I want all of us centered and grounded in the content of Black Liturgies for Lent. We're going to continue to seek God's will, God's way, and God's words for creativity and clear vision. We are fully virtual this week. It is second Sunday, and I am excited to welcome back to the pulpit of the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County a sister indeed, a scholar sure enough, and a bona fide preacher without a doubt, no stranger to Abyssinian, the Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson, who is the founder and the pastor of Pink Robe Chronicles, will be our guest preacher. You don't want to miss, girlfriend. She kills us in a great way every year. Third Sunday, we'll be back in the sanctuary, and I'm asking everybody to wear our African garb on the third Sunday for our hybrid service in what we'll be calling Ancestral Veneration Sunday. So stay tuned for more details on that. I hope you're plugged into one of our vision teams. We'll be talking about it, and in order for you to be in alignment with what God is doing in the life of Abyssinian, you have to be part of one of these teams, at least one. You can be a part of all of them, but at least one. If you want to join Team Gifted, contact Brother Marvin Frank. If you want to join Team Innovation, contact Lady Denise. If you want to join Team Inspiration, contact Reverend Frank Johnson or Reverend Darrell Bryant. And if you want to join Team Information, contact Deaconess Dr. Laverne Terrell or Trustee Gail Tyree. If you want to join any of those teams or just need some information about it more specifically, email us at abcministries1@gmail.com. We'll be sure to get you connected to the team or teams of your choice. Let's keep moving together in the actualization of ABC Vision 2024. Don't forget to connect with us. Text Liberation to 855-701-7350 to join our mobile service and to get updates or messages and important announcements sent directly to your phone. And also, make sure you are following us on all of our social media pages. And don't just follow us. Set up your connection to these pages by ensuring you get notifications every time we post something. So go to Facebook, Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church, click like, and also click those 3 dots and click the button so that you can make sure you get notifications every time we post something. Same is true for Instagram at ABC Ministries, the number 1, and on YouTube, Abyssinian Baptist Church, Memphis. Follow, like, share, engage. Make sure you get the notification. I can't see nobody typing at me. And I promise you, you will be empowered. And lastly, make sure that you are honoring your financial commitments. I understand some of us may not even understand some of the technical teachings related to tithing and offering. That's okay. You know what God has given you the capacity to give to support the work of the ministry at Abyssinian. You know how much you benefit from the things that we create in terms of content and worship experiences and the people who we employ to produce these particular things. So please do the best you can to give as best as you can and as faithfully as you can. I asked everybody last year to give at least 1% of your gross income. You can do your own calculations. I'm asking people to do better this year than you did last year. Some of you are doing this. I'm doing it. I'm giving more this year than I was giving last year, and God has been kind. Ain't missed a bill or a meal. I can't see nobody typing at me. I trust that God will do the same for you. So please do all you can to be faithful in your giving. Here are the ways to give. We have Cash App, we have PayPal, we have Givelify, and you can go old school snail mail. We don't care how you give here, just give here because you can. And if you are anything like me, you are extremely excited about all God is doing in the life of Abyssinian, and you want to see more. So I look forward to seeing you on the stream this Sunday. Peace and love.
Dark skin, his brown eyes, a Jew from Palestine. You're a God of wonder. Oh, you're painting living color. Oh, my sister, my brother, every pigment, every shade. Oh, the King you sent to save us, my melanated Savior, who they decolorize to colonize. Give me Jesus in full color, all his attributes. Give me all his hue, his dark skin, his brown eyes, a Jew from Palestine. I'll have everything I need if you would. Give me Jesus, more of Jesus. I want more of him. Give me all of him. Heal me in living color.
Give them eyes to see my humanity and its beauty and its power. All you created me to be, all my attributes. Give them all my hue, my dark skin, my brown eyes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say, give me, give me, give me, give me Jesus. More and more and more and more and more and more of him. All of my Jesus, all of my Jesus. In his living color, I want Jesus.
I know your prices, can't sell me BS. I had enough of your devices. I'm here to live blessed. They supply the lies, the colorize, the colonize, the lies, the tribes, the occupy the text. The truth so poetic, plus the flow athletic. Brown skin Semitic, don't you forget it. I know the haters regret it. They done messed up, so I give God the credit. Now give me that black man permanent tan. That walk on water like you walk on land. That turn that water into a forte. Fights for justice, no matter how off late. Party gets he partisan. I'm confident as long as mental and within my melanin is having sin. So give me him to give me him. Say give me Jesus. I'ma need more of Jesus. I'ma need more of him in my life. Oh, hey, I can't even see right. Hey, Jesus. Savior that looks like me.
I am a savior that looks like me.
You are a savior that looks like me.
You are a savior that looks like me.
I'ma need all of him. I'ma need all of him. I don't want half of him.
I don't want half of him. I want Jesus.
I want Jesus.
Give me my Jesus.
Feels too good
My
to let go.
Jesus.
It feels too good to let go. Knowing the truth that I know.
Knowing the truth
Knowing
that I know.
that I know. Feels too good to let go.
Feel too good to let
Feels
go.
too good to let go.
The scripture says, oh, how good and pleasant it is when brothers and sisters and friends and kin dwell together in unity. Don't you know that's when the anointing flows? Type anointing in the comment section. That's when the power of God shows up. Type power in the comment section. That's when the peace of God rests on all of us. Type peace in the comment section. That's why we can say this is the day our God has made, and we should rejoice. Type rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome, brothers, sisters, friends, and kin, to the virtual worship service of the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County, the Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church here in Memphis, Tennessee. I am the proud pastor of this beloved congregational network. I'm Dr. Earl Fisher, and I can't think of a better place for any of us to be this morning or whenever you capture this on our social media sites. I need you to do me a favor and show some holy hospitality. Say hello in the comment section. I'm telling you, it is a good thing when God's people gather together, whether it be in physical space or cyberspace, whatever we deem to be sacred space. And we got some special kinfolks here with us today. One of our sibling congregations, as I would call it. Anybody representing the Pink Robe Chronicles, thank you for collaborating and connecting with us today. For those who are tuned in and want to know what I'm talking about, you'll hear more about the Pink Robe Chronicles and their gathering with us today in just a moment. But for a few moments, I need you to do me a few favors. I need you to share this as widely as you possibly can. I need you to at somebody in the comment section, somebody who is on your heart and on your mind. You know they need a word from God. You know they need an encounter from God. I'm telling you that you are, and they will be at the right place at the right time to receive a righteous, relevant, and revolutionary encounter with the God who created us, the Black Messiah, who redeems us, and the Holy Spirit who sustains us. I need, if this is your very first time connecting with us, I need you to say something in the comment section so that either me or somebody from the church leadership team or our Abyssinian online ambassador, CJ Randall, is going to connect with you and follow up with you. We want to know the great things that God is doing in your life. We also want you to be able to keep up with us and know the great things that God is doing in the life of Abyssinia, the Blackest Church in Memphis. You're like, what do you mean by that? Here's what we mean and here's what we say. Nobody is going to show up for black folks. Nobody is going to stand up for black folks. Nobody is going to speak up for black folks more than Abyssinia. So we want to be able to keep up with you. We also want you to be able to keep up with us, because we can't be all God is calling us to be if we are not connected to you. And you might not know this, but it's true. You can't be all God is calling you to be if you are not connected with us. Since you are here, you are an Abyssinian for the day. And every time when we gather together, whether you are catching us live and direct on a Sunday morning, whether it be on our Facebook Live, whether it be on our Instagram or Instagram Live, whether it be on YouTube. Matter of fact, if you're watching on any of those, check in how you watch it. Say I'm on Facebook, or say I'm on Instagram, or say I'm on YouTube. But whenever you connect with us, you are an Abyssinian, and every time we gather together, we try to remind ourselves of what God calls us to do and to be. So we recite our church's mission statement and vision statement. The mission statement lets us know why we exist, and the vision statement lets us know what we should look like as we are living into our mission. So I need all of us who are ready, willing, and able to recite our church's mission statement and vision statement along with this Abyssinian, and I'll be right back.
Please join us in reciting the mission statement.
Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church is a positive, progressive, and prophetic Baptist church where the liberating gospel of Jesus Christ is engaged with head, hand, and heart. Our mission is to be a congregation that actively lives out our faith in efforts to achieve spiritual empowerment, emotional stability, financial responsibility, and physical well-being.
And now for our vision. Our vision is to be a
gifted, innovative, inspired, and informed congregational network of friends and kin who live out our faith in such a way that we become one of God's tools to redeem those who are without faith in God, reclaim those who have withdrawn from the Black church, and rejuvenate those who maintain faith in the Black Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth.
Thank you to the Abyssinian who was so thoughtful in reciting their church's mission and vision statement. And again, to all of the Abyssinians out there, if you have not recorded yourself reciting the mission and vision, please do so and send it to us at abcministries1@gmail.com. We want to feature you on one of these virtual services. Not only do we have a mission statement and a vision statement, we also have a motto, and here's a wonderful time to type it in the comment section. No matter where you are, say it out loud and say it with your chest. I love God. I can't see nobody typing at me. Come on. I love God. There you go. I feel it in my Iba Bashando. I love God. I love the Black Messiah. I love Black folks. And I am glad to be at the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County. If that is true, then you will be able to stand along with me in solidarity. For a church and a ministry that you love and that loves you, it requires your faithful financial contributions and economic support. So I am asking each of you, especially those Abyssinians who know what your pledges are and your commitment is, I am asking you to present to us your tithe and your offering right now. You know, a tithe would be approximately 10% of your income. An offering is that which you can give above and beyond your tithe. But y'all know the rubric at Abyssinian. We have asked people to discipline themselves and give at least 1% of your annual gross income. You know what those numbers are and what they look like. And if you were able to do 1% last year, we're asking you to do 2% this year. In other words, make a commitment, stick to it, and make sure if you were giving faithful and fruitfully last year, you know the result of that. So you should be giving more this year than you gave last year. There are several ways to give. You can give via Cash App. You can give via PayPal. You can give using Givelify or old school snail mail. Use the P.O. box that's on the screen, or you can send your check or money order to 3890 Mill Branch, Memphis, Tennessee 38116. We don't care how you give here, just give here because you can. You don't have to wait to the end of service. At any time, any day, anywhere, we will gladly and graciously accept your gift because it allows us to produce this type of content and share it with you no matter where you are. Matter of fact, let me take a moment and salute who I believe to be the best producer of virtual services this side of glory. Y'all give it up for the lovely lady Denise Fisher and Team Innovation, who continues to produce these wonderful virtual services and stream our hybrid services. We can do this because people are faithful and fruitful in their contributions. As a matter of fact, Trustee Gail Tyree told me we did a wonderful job last week in our giving. Can we keep it up, please? Let me be clear and very clear. We are looking to raise at least $2,500 per week. That helps us maintain all of our bills and all of our financial obligations. So you know what role you play in that. You know what your numbers look like. Please trust God. And if you have found anything to be true, during this Black Faith Fast that we've been on since February 4th, that is going to end on February 14th. If you found anything to be true, it is that God is faithful and it pays to serve our God, and God will not allow any good thing to be withheld from us. So stop what you're doing right now and quit playing. Go ahead and get your gift together and give of your tithe and offering, and trust that God will indeed. And some of y'all can testify to this. Matter of fact, testify in the comment section right now. God knows how to open up the windows of heaven and pour us out blessings that we don't have room enough to receive. I want to offer up a few things by way of pastoral reflections and announcements. I want to say a little bit more about this Pink Robe Chronicles and Abyssinian Baptist Church connection and present the preacher for the morning to us before I yield the floor to her. I said something about the Black Faith Fast. Y'all know it ends this Wednesday. I know y'all hate it. I know y'all have been loving it. I've seen the pictures. We had a wonderful fitness session this past Saturday. I know that you have been killing your 30 minutes of activity and exercise every day. I know you've reaped the benefits of your 5 minutes of devotion, which is scripture reading and reflection every day. I know you ain't got no beef with giving up at least less of the salt, the sugar, and the fried foods, and getting more water, fruits, and vegetables. But this Wednesday will be the last day of the Black Faith Fast, but it also starts our Lenten journey. And y'all have heard it in the ABC News. If not, go back and check it out. But we're starting the Lenten journey reflecting on the substance of a book entitled Black Liturgies from Cole Arthur Riley. I told y'all in the ABC News the way you can get it: Kindle, hard copy, Audible, and if you need some support in obtaining that, please let us know and we'll make sure that you get that. This season of Abyssinian is one where God is doing some miraculous things as part and parcel of our strategic plan, our pastoral preaching direction and the themes. God is moving mightily in our hybrid services and our virtual services, so please make sure you're not missing any of them. As a matter of fact, if you take a moment and scan this QR code, if you take a moment and click this link, you can get access to the ABC calendar that we're going to be publishing per quarter. There's other information that is allotted on that calendar. There's also other information in the ABC News. I don't want to waste any more time. Please go back and check that out. I want to say a little bit more about the ABC and the PRC connection, Abyssinian Baptist Church and Pink Robe Chronicles. We gather together in some virtual format every year over the last several years because one of my dear sisters in ministry and one of the most provocative, one of the most prolific, one of the most prophetic prognosticators and preachers of the gospel of Black liberation is none other than the founder and the digital curator of the Pink Robe Chronicles and its gathering, which is a digital hush harbor, and that is the Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson. Abyssinian, she ain't no stranger to us. She comes and represents every year, and all of those connected to the Pink Robe Chronicles come and dialogue with us. They got digital deacons who I know are blowing up the stream right now. Y'all typing faster than me. Abyssinian, we can't let them pull up to the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County and out-type us. This is a holy competition here, all right? But we are always glad when they pull up, and many of the Abyssinians follow the Pink Robe Chronicles, as you should, and Dr. Melva Sampson is just doing fantastic work. It's always a gift to have her come. And y'all know only a few people can preach at the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County during Black History Month. And so as we honor the elements of our elders and ancestors, as we reclaim the sacred memory that God has bequeathed to all of us, I can't think of a better place to be to encounter what God is going to do and what God has to say than Abyssinian. And I can't think of a better person to communicate that to us than my dear sister, the Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson. I'm going to offer up a word of prayer. After that, we'll have another creative arts and musical moment. And after that, you will hear from one of the best preachers on God's green earth right about now, and that's Dr. Melva Sampson. God, we thank you for the gift of camaraderie and collegiality. We thank you for the consciousness present today. We thank you for the compassion. We thank you for the creativity. We thank you for the courage. We thank you for the character. We thank you for the Christological spirit that is resting, ruling, and abiding in this sacred space right now. Continue to breathe on us. Meet all of us at our point of need. May our eyes be open. May our ears be open. May our hearts be open. May our minds be receptive to all that you have to say and do in this space. And God, continue to bind together in solidarity Abyssinian Baptist Church and the Pink Robe Chronicles to your glory as we go forth in your name. We ask this in the spirit of a righteous and revolutionary Savior, in the spirit of a loving, living, and liberating Black Messiah, Jesus the Christ, and all of God's people typed and said together, Ashe and amen. Now, you know you're wrong if you ain't shared this yet, and you double wrong if you ain't added or tag somebody in the comments. Listen to this musical selection and artistic expression, and then hear the words of God come through my dear sister, Dr. Melva Sampson. And we'll be back after she tears the house down.
Good morning to the Blackest Church in Shelby County. Good morning, Abyssinian. Good morning to the Reverend Dr. Earl Fisher, to First Lady Denise Lloyd Fisher, and to all of you who are members, to the community, to the Pink Robe Chronicles, to those who have gotten on the virtual church van and toggled just across the way to be present. I greet you in the name of liberation, in the name of love. Ashe This week, a student dropped by my office to share with me some anxiety that she was experiencing. This particular anxiety was around has to preach on today. And she was anxious because the way that the sermon was coming to her was not the typical way sermons are delivered in this context. I shared with her that she should stand on business, stand on the business that God gave her to deliver the sermon in the way that she was receiving it. After a few kind of tugs, pulls, aha moments, I asked her to place her hand in mine. She placed her hand in mine, and I said to her, just what if there is a blessing behind your anxiety? Not that God has given you this anxiety, but what if you find that while delivering the sermon in this way, what if you find that while standing in your truth, what if you find that by being vulnerable, you find the holies of holies? Friends, I want to tell you that this week, this very moment, these words are coming to me because it is my experience. It is what I am experiencing at this very moment. This is probably my third time beginning this recording. And as I began the recording on this last time, I said, friends, I am not going to stop. I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to keep it moving. And I asked myself, Melva, what is it? What's happening? Why are you anxious? Because, as a preacher, at least I get anxious every time I preach. There is a way in which the task is so weighty that there is a level of nerves that bring humility, that remind me that I am not doing this solo, but certainly I need the Spirit to guide me. However, it is in this moment that I suggest or I contend, or I think, if you will, that there is a level of expectation that I'm not sure I'm able to rise. It is the expectation wherein many of us sit and wait with bated breath to see if the one preaching will bring the same kind of word that they brought before. To wait to see if the one who is preaching will move like they moved before. Friends, I want to tell you that this kind of pressure is too heavy, particularly when one has availed themselves, one has found the hidden voice or the voice that has always been within, but as with lived experience and with age, is leaning more into not what the academy expects of her as a homiletics professor, not what her colleagues expect of her, and not what traditional sermons sound like. That requires courage, which leads me to what I want to share with us today. I want to talk to us under the theme, I want to be free, or said differently, I want to be free or die trying. I want you to know that this offering, this space of vulnerability, is not just for me, but I'm also inviting you to be vulnerable with me. Wherever you are, if you're at work and you have the volume down, if you're in your car, if you're sitting on your living room and you have this image of me that is sprawled across your flat screen, wherever you are, I want to invite you to take a moment and reflect on the question first, do you want to be free? And then on the declarative statement, get free or die trying. I offer this particular sacred text, a text that is not specifically found in the Bible. However, there are many texts that speak about freedom in the Bible. There are texts that speak about escaping and emancipating, and there are many texts that we can point to. However, this particular text comes from the film Harriet. the biopic film about Araminta Ross, who becomes Harriet Tubman, a film about Black Moses, the infamous Underground Railroad conductor, the one who made trips, at least about 70, at least about 13 trips to free to emancipate at least around 70 folk over a span of 10 years, from Dorchester, Maryland to Philadelphia, all the way to Canada. In the film Harriet, there is a scene. Harriet, whom we know has spells that it has been reported come from an injury that she received from a person who owned her, who struck her in her head. And in these spells, she would receive these downloads from God. She would see visions and dream dreams. One particular scene, Harriet sees a vision of herself being sold. And in that very moment, she stops what she's doing and realizes that she needs to run immediately. Upon this recognition, she goes to let her mother know and then her father know, who was a freed person, that she needed to run. When she gets to her father's cabin, her father tells her, "Go by Reverend Green and have him bless your journey." Minty, she was apprehensive to do such. Her father said, "Now I'm telling you, go by Reverend Green and have him bless your journey." Minty runs to the church, knocks on the door, and when Reverend Green looks out and recognizes that she is by herself, he quickly ushers for her to come in. When she gets in, he said, "Gal, you intending to run?" And she says, "Yes." And he starts to look around because he wants to see who else is with her. And so he asked her, "Are you all by yourself?" And she said, "Yes." He said, "You don't stand the chance of a hair, you don't stand a hair's chance in a fox's claw." And he begins to question whether or not she can read. And she says no. And he says, then, "Well, maybe it's not too late for you to turn back. Maybe it's not too late for you to turn around so that you can go back and just let them know that you made a mistake. You can ask them if it will be all right." And just then, Minty interrupts the Reverend's comment and simply blurts out, "I want to be free. I want to be free." The Reverend gives her three directives. These directives serve as her blessing. The one is to not succumb to fear. The second is to trust God. The third is to follow the North Star. As Minty sets out with the music running behind her, she finds herself on a bridge and she's trapped. She's trapped between the man who owns her and the slave catchers who are helping him to find her. And as she looks over the rail of the bridge, she is looking and wondering whether or not, I imagine, she will survive the raging rapids of the river. Just then, the one who owns her recognizes what she is contemplating, and he tries to talk her down. And he says to her, "You know, doing that would be a sin against God," because in his mind, he cannot believe that anyone would jump this high up and survive. That's another sermon altogether. The ways in which those who think that they own you, the ways in which those who have a level of control would like to talk you down when you are making your escape, when you are following a holy unction from God, when you are doing what the Spirit says do. Beware of those. Beware of those who attempt to tell you not to do it because they cannot see the vision that God has placed in you. Another sermon for another time. And then he goes on to say to her, "Listen, you know, your parents are worried about you. If you come back, you can be with your parent, your family, and even your husband." Her husband in the movie was free. You can be with him. Just come on and we'll work it out. And Minty, recognizing that he was a lie and that the truth wasn't in him, she said, "I'm gonna be free or die." And these are the 2 points that I want to raise today. These are the intersections that I want to park at. This is the axis upon which I want to engage. One, both declarative statements, I want to be free, or two, I'm going to be free or die. Hey, this notion of dying. This notion of dying, really kind of gets under our skin. This notion of dying makes some of us feel very uncomfortable. It is very interesting to me why it makes us feel uncomfortable when our history reveals that any body of people that have been enslaved, be it Black folk who were forcibly brought here from the continent, be it indigenous folk, be it folk right here on U.S. soil who live in an impoverished state, who struggle with socioeconomic status, there comes a moment when when the body makes a decision, there comes a moment when death is imminent. And yet, for us, those of us who are believers, who follow Jesus, who follow the way, there is a way in which we idolize, we make an idol out of Jesus's journey. And when you make an idol out of the journey, it doesn't mean that you necessarily follow. Because we are so busy worshiping, then that means that we're not following. And ultimately, to follow Jesus means possibly, figuratively, and sometimes physically, that death is imminent. But we don't want to die, not for real, for real. We don't want to risk. We don't want to risk dropping down into the raging rapids of life. We don't want to risk confronting a system to the level in which that makes us uncomfortable. We don't really want to risk. We're comfortable being keyboard warriors. We are comfortable saying a little this and then pulling back a little of that. We're comfortable showing up in spaces and believing that that's all that it is. Listen. I just want to know if you want to be free. This conversation around death is fitting as we approach Ash Wednesday this Wednesday. As we approach the Lenten season, it is the season where we believers consider our mortality, where we consider the dust from which we all come from, the dust from which we all return, in relationship to Jesus's journey to a state-sanctioned lynching. It is fitting that we are talking, that we are considering what this may mean, and that we are placing these words, although with artistic license, may not have been the exact words. For all we know, it could have been the words of the writer. Nevertheless, it is sacred to me. I deem them to be sacred, as they are words attributed to a Black woman, Ashe, words suggesting that instead of remaining enslaved, that one is willing to risk her life. And baby, if nothing else is sacred, I want you to know that those words are. So it is fitting as some of us will begin this Lenten observance. Many will receive the imposition of ashes, a gesture that's signifying repentance and the need for cleansing as we commence this 40-day journey. Some will then announce a sacrifice of things. They will renounce things that give them pleasure. Some folks gonna stop eating chocolate, amen. Some folks gonna stop drinking soda, and some folks gonna stop eating meat, and some folks gonna stop engaging in intimate pleasure like sex. Not me, but I'm just saying. Some folks gonna stop social media. All of this that they can feel a kind of death. a symbolic death of what it feels like to journey with Jesus to the cross, what it feels like to journey to the point of being free. The point of it all, friends, is to simulate the death of something, to imitate the appearance or character of dying to something. It is also Black History Month, a time set aside to honor not Black excellence, like we talked about last week, but Black diligence. But let me go a little bit further than I went last week on Pink Road Chronicles when we talked about Tell Them We Are Rising. Let me give us a little bit more in depth of an understanding of my problem with Black excellence and why we need to put death to it. As stated by me and others, Black excellence is a symptom of white supremacy that results in exceptional Negrohood. Black excellence being perceived as a symptom of white supremacy stems from the societal context in which it often occurs. In a system built on white supremacy, where the dominant culture and institutions prioritize and celebrate whiteness, instances of exceptional achievement by Black individuals are sometimes highlighted as exceptional exceptions rather than the norm. This perpetuates the notion that Black excellence is remarkable, precisely because it is unexpected within the confines of a system that historically has devalued Black contributions and potential. Furthermore, the concept of Black excellence can sometimes be co-opted or instrumentalized by the dominant culture to reinforce narratives of meritocracy and individual exceptionalism, deflecting attention away from systemic inequalities and the need for broader societal change. By focusing on a few Black individuals who have achieved success within the existing system. White supremacy then can maintain the illusion of progress and inclusion while systemic barriers to success for Black communities remain largely unaddressed. In this case, while Black excellence itself is not inherently problematic, the way that it is framed and celebrated within the context of white supremacy can serve to reinforce existing power dynamics and inequalities rather than challenging or dismantling them. Hence, my proposal for Black diligence, the consistent everyday dedication and determination of individuals to pursue liberation for the collective, not for the sake of, or to display respectability, or to result in resiliency, but to be liberated from the need for approval from systems and people who will never honor our brilliance, our ingenuity, or our innovation. My goodness. The problem then with Black folks' observance of Lent and the way we observe Black history is that it has become mechanical, done out of tradition or obligation, and it lacks collective and or individual significance when done this way. Both end up being about personal piety or epistemological privilege, and less about a radical communal goal to be free or to die trying. So, to correct our obsession with ritual rightness and to promote cultural historicity, I offer this text, a different sacred text, to illuminate a legacy of resistance and consistent perseverance toward freedom. I'ma be free or die. Hurling her body over the structure. When she goes over into the water, the master assumes that she is dead. Now, I've seen this movie at least 5 times, but it was on this particular occasion that these two scenes really would not let me go. And friends, as we place those at the forefront of our minds, at the top of this season, this Lenten season, And in the middle of our Black History Observance Month, I want to say to you that symbolic sacrifices of food and material goods ain't gonna get us free. I want to say to you that acknowledging the contributions of Black history without being courageous enough to produce individual and collective futures will not get us free. That decolonizing your spirituality is one part, but not the sum total, and all of it won't get us free. That every enslaved being imagined freedom, but not every enslaved person attempted to escape. Can I help us on this morning? That the desire for freedom reflects a longing for liberation from the constraints of past and present burdens, symbolizing a holistic yearning for emancipation from the sinister cycles perpetuated by external evil forces. Getting free, y'all, is a divine imperative, as in God calls us to embody, experience, and desire freedom. God called Minty. God called Harriet. God called her in a vision. She couldn't have stayed even if she wanted to. And before she knew it, as the film portrays, her hand released the axe that she was holding to cut the wood. And immediately, right away, she began her journey. Friends, if we could just pause there for a moment, that the kind of freedom that we need, that the systems that we need to retreat from require that kind of urgency. It's an immediacy. Some of us are dragging our feet. Some of us are too slow moving. Some of us are still trying to, well, I'm just thinking about it. Like I'm going to wait until I get it all together. It's like folk who don't want to come to church until they get their life right. It makes no sense. The state of affairs calls for us to move expeditiously. Baby, the shackles that are attempting to be put around our neck, the trafficking of our girls, the maternal rate of Black women requires that we move with urgency. This kind of lethargy, this way in which we are lackadaisical is not going to get us free. Freedom, our call to freedom. I am saying that God calls us to freedom. But when our agency is threatened, when our voices are silenced, when our memories are blocked, when our time is tampered with, when our skills are questioned, when justice is elusive, when our bodies are commodified. Yeah, our bodies are still commodified even in 2024. I recently saw on an Instagram post that the cafeteria workers of one of my alma maters, Howard University, went on strike last week. They went on strike as a result of one of their colleagues being terminated unjustly. Also, the ways in which they say that management is operating in a tyrannical way. And a sister, if any of you have seen this particular Instagram post, there is a sister who is sitting there. She said, folks don't want to speak up. I didn't want to speak up. She said, but I'm speaking up today. She said, y'all need to pay us. You need to pay us. She said, we are on our feet 8 hours a day and sometimes more to serve you. She said, we don't want to be pinching and borrowing off of people. We want our own money. We don't want to be having to borrow money to get on transportation. We want our own transportation, she said. She said, y'all need to pay us. She said, we want our children to go to college. We want our children to eat. She said, but we up here serving y'all, making y'all billionaires. Baby, do better, HU. But there was a point at which this sister said, I want to be free. Oh, but not only that has that been the holdup, but it is also the ways in which our churches, some churches that are led by cishet men and cishet women, fail to honor the humanity of our queer community, of our LGBTQIA plus community members. Oh, when we are visibly comfortable, this freedom gets checked and challenged. When we are visibly comfortable in our captivity, peddling our homegrown brand of contagious Christianity, that we were socialized into once we stopped using it as a mask to honor the gods we brought with us across the transatlantic. Once we allowed their understanding of Christianity to overshadow what we knew, when we may have already have encountered Christianity on the continent, which is why I suggest it is an African traditional religion. Because of this, because of all of this, it reveals to us that we ain't really free. And it reveals to us what Reverend Tracy Blackman said 2 weeks ago, what I shared on last week, that we have a fractured relationship with freedom. That many of us see freedom as a kind of self-preservation, not a collective preservation, a self-preservation that can only be measured based on our proximity to power. Based on our proximity to power. Friends, can I help us a little bit more? Can I push this envelope just a few more minutes, just a little bit further, this theory that I'm having about freedom? I want to push and to suggest, even as you're preparing to do your fast, as you're preparing, to get yourself ready to journey to the cross with Jesus. I want to suggest that we've become afraid of death. Yeah. And I'm not suggesting I want to die today or tomorrow, Ashe. But I will admit, I will be vulnerable and suggest that death doesn't, I don't run toward death, Ashe. But it makes me think. It makes me think about Jesus and Jesus's journey, knowing that he came ultimately to counter a system, that had been problematic to his people, to counter a system that had raped the women in his community, that had pillaged the land of the members of his community, to confront the religious intelligentsia that were in cahoots with the empire. He knew that he had come to do something different. He knew that this reigndom of God was at hand because he was coming to turn over a system so that those who were in last position would be in first position. He knew by his parables, he knew. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst, because those are the ones that are going to see God, not the ones who already got their fill, not the ones who think that they don't need anything, not the ones who think that there's no reason for them to do anything at all, not the ones who get over on folk, but blessed are those. And so there is a way in which I'm pushing that we are afraid of death, hence afraid of a kind of freedom that can only come, hear me, as Reverend Gina Stewart would say, with your good ear, that can only come when we turn over some stuff, when we release, when we die to some things. And for some of us, this is a hard word to take. For some of us, that will mean figuratively. For others of us, that might mean literally. What makes us any different than any of the freedom fighters that we acknowledge and observe during Black history? This is the word that the ancestors were bringing to me. The ancestors were saying to me, what does it mean? What does it mean for you to observe, for you to say my name and to invoke, to call over and over again without acknowledging that the road that I paved was not for you to sit back and call my name, but for you to walk in the path that I laid, because freedom is continual. We don't get to it and it ends. Freedom has to be continual for generation to generation. And so some of us are afraid. We are afraid because of the ways that our people have been brutally killed by representatives of the empire and by each other. Listen, when I consider the way that Fred Hampton was murdered in his bed, when I consider the way that some of the men were murdered in Attica State Prison, when I consider the way that Breonna Taylor was murdered, that Tatiana Jefferson was murdered, that Sandra Bland was murdered, that Michael Brown was murdered, that Trayvon Martin was murdered. When I consider the ways It doesn't make me run toward, but yet, when I think about when I place Harriet, come on, Melva, work this here thing. When I place Harriet in the same position as a messianic savior, when I place Harriet alongside Jesus, because Moses was a precursor for Jesus, as Moses was the liberator for the Hebrew people in the First Testament, Jesus carries the mantle even unto death in the Second. If then Harriet was the Moses of her people, then not only were her words sacred, but her actions too. And I'm simply saying that could it be that given what we are experiencing in this world today, given where we are today, could it require more than lip service? Could it require more than lip service? Three things, three quick things. One is this: we have to acknowledge first that we want to be free. Yeah. Some of us are scared to say it out of our mouths because once you know a thing, then you actually have to move on a thing. Yeah. Some of us are being spoken to. Some of us, the Spirit is speaking to some of us. Ashe, let me look directly into this camera. The Spirit is speaking to some of us. Yeah. Some of us have had visions. Some of us have already have sight. Let me share a little bit with you about the Dogon Site and Sacred Memory for Prophetic Black Preaching. This project that some of us, including your pastor, is working on with Dr. Mama E.T. Hari Torre at McCormick Theological Seminary, funded by the Lilly Endowment. This sacred memory of which we can identify through our African cosmologies, and we use our African cosmologies to engage us, to aid us in reimagining and connecting this memory with not only our present, but so that we can future ourselves, so that we can see ourselves beyond the gaze of those who harmed us, so that we can see ourselves beyond the gaze of institutions that we built but that were never for us, so we can see ourselves beyond models that are no longer helpful for our flourishing. This level of sight that the Dogon use, they use sight, the first sight being sight at face value, that we could see a thing, see it for what it is. Sight on the side, that we have good peripheral. Sight that is transcendent, meaning that we call on those in the other realm to engage us, to help us see, to see what others cannot see, but to use sort of these extra spiritual sensibilities to move through systems, to move through things, to create in ways that only that kind of sight can yield. And finally, clear sight, that there is a level of our lived experience that we reach where we can look over and see how all of the pieces of the puzzle fit. Friends, I simply want to suggest that it requires sight, that our freedom, our attempt at freedom, requires that we have sight. It is why when Reverend Green was telling Minty that she shouldn't run because she wouldn't make it because she couldn't read, that she was clear. She interrupted him and said, I want to be free. This is all I want to say in Black History Month as we move toward the Lenten season. Do you want to be free? Friends, this is the call. This is the faith, getting free. This is it. Can I tell you what it's not? Like catharsis is important. Shouting is necessary. Being a portal for the Spirit to come and to dwell in, to engage, to share messages with us is necessary. But can I tell you that that is not the sum total of this journey of being a believer, of following Jesus? The sum total of following Jesus is unto death. That's Bible, is that it is unto death that I will work toward the liberation. See, the issue is that, as my husband Derek said, that many of us only call on Jesus. We're not doing the work. We want the easy way out. We want to just call on the name. Call on the name, worship, no following, no doing. But where are the doers? Not just the hearers. Where are the doers? Because we got some stuff facing us right now that requires us to be doers. So the first thing that one needs to engage is that you want to be free. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't care who around you saying, no, you don't need to do that. You need to engage that you want to be free. Yeah. Yeah. The second thing is you're going to need to take a risk, baby, because freedom is risky. When Harriet jumps over that bridge into the water, baby, that was the biggest risk because she didn't know whether or not she was going to live or die. But what she was clear about was that she could not go back to what her circumstance was. What she was clear about was that she could not go back to what her circumstance was. Jesus today. My God, my God. Listen, I want to tell you right now, you can't, don't go back. I know it's enticing. We'll give you this if you come back. I know that it feels, like I might as well just go. Don't go back. Yeah. You either gonna be free or you gonna release some things. You gonna be free or you gonna let some things go. You gonna be free or you're not gonna be in this state anymore. And that's the work. That's the work. I'm so tired of these folks who are coming into ministry because they want to be in proximity to perceive power. I'm so tired of folks coming into ministry believing, and particularly, I'm going to speak to my own people, my seminary trained people who think that to be prophetic is to critique, is to tear down, is to suggest that folks ain't got no learning. I'm so tired of the ways in which we take on the cloak of the oppressor, the very thing that has oppressed us. Some of us barely got out of seminary. Come on, somebody. If we would tell the truth about it, some of us had to take New Testament 3 and 4 times. Somebody. Yeah. Let me talk about my own self. In my own doctoral program, I had to take 2 of my comprehensive exams over. But folk don't be telling you all of that. Yeah. Because we lock that kind of toxicity up and keep it right here because we don't want anybody to know. But baby, even though it's risky, that kind of vulnerability and truth is required if we're going to be free. Some of y'all act like you decolonizing your spirit, but you only decolonizing that to still live in colonization in another space, in another way, in another part of your body. Baby, do you want to be free? If you want to be free, then you're going to have to take a risk. And the risk is never easy. The risk is often always hard. The risk is often always hard. You're going to have to release some stuff. You're going to have to take a leap. You're going to have to jump. I appreciated hearing Candace Bimbo's testimony on this week, where she testified and said that she had to take her car back to the dealership. And she didn't know that once she took the car back to the dealership, whether or not she was going to get the car back. She talked about in her post that there was an issue with the financing, and that she didn't know what was going to be worked out. But here she is taking her car back. And just when she took the car back, not a day or 2 later, she gets a call from her salesperson saying, come on back. I worked out the situation. Sometimes, friend, in order to get free, in order to get free from the kind of fear that going on the journey to freedom induces, you got to be willing to go all the way with it. You got to be willing to actually turn it over and give it up. And that's all I'm saying as a people is, are we willing to give some things up? Are we willing to give the accoutrements of capitalism up? Are we willing to give? It's a question that I'm having to ponder. Finally, and then I'm done. That being free, or as Harriet said, I'm going to be free or I'm going to die, means that when you get to freedom, you're going to have to come back and get somebody else. Baby, the journey to freedom might be solo, but once you get there, it's a group effort. To stay free, it's a group effort. The history books tell us that Harriet Tubman brought at least 70 people to freedom and made around 13 trips during a 10-year stint. How many of you, after getting to your promised land, would put yourself in harm's way, turn back around, go back to the very place that tried to kill you, go back to the very place where a bounty is on your head, to free others because God has given you a vision and has showed you the way and has declared that you will be victorious in the journey? How many of us? But yet we want to be free. Friends, I want to end this way by saying our freedom is connected to the freedom of the person on our left and our right. And we ought to get downright serious. The freedom is not a buzzword. It's not the new thing to say. Freedom also, I guess I should, yeah. Freedom too, if I want to talk about it this way, let me expand on it. That freedom is not always a destination. Freedom is a way of being. Yes, Jesus. Freedom is an epistemology. If it is a destination, it's an epistemic site. Come on. Freedom, freedom, freedom is an embodied, as Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon would say, freedom is an embodied mediated practice. It is an embodied mediated ethic. Yeah. And friends, this ain't ending on a high note. This ends on a note to make you think just about how down you are, just about how old phrase here, bout it, you really are. As you move into your journey with Jesus, to acknowledge your mortality, to experience symbolically what he experienced. Now, some of you will say, but Melva, Jesus paid it all. We don't have to die. I want to be free. And friends, that is how I'm going to live the rest of these days. Emancipating myself from the voices in my head, from the voices that live rent-free in my head, from the way that folks think I'm supposed to present, from the styles of preaching that are not comfortable to me. From the need to believe in ways that are not productive for my own flourishing and for the flourishing of my community. We all know the end of the story. Yes, Harriet did not die. Indeed, not only did she get to freedom, but she embodied freedom, leading so many. And if we'd all make a pact to be like her, we'd be doing ourselves a service. Moreover, we would really be following Jesus. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo.
Now, what did you expect? I mean, I tried to told y'all. Y'all knew. I mean, it's true to form. It's part and parcel of what happens when the Pink Robe Chronicles connects with the Abyssinian Baptist Church. Salute to one of God's best preachers, Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson, always giving us something to think about, always giving us some ministerial and militant marching orders. Thank you, dear sister, for sharing your gift with us, and whatever you need from the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County, we always down with you and the tribe. Come on, brothers, sisters, friends, and kin, run those hearts up and make sure that we are a blessing to Dr. Melva Sampson. You know, you can't preach like that. I ain't finna be all in her business or telling all her stories. She done told enough. And y'all know she's good for crying every time. You just know that, right? But you can't preach like that if you ain't been through nothing. You can't preach like that to black folks if you don't love black folks. And since we love black folks and PRC love black folks, we gonna make sure we're a blessing to Dr. Melva Sampson and a blessing to the Pink Robe Chronicles. So I need y'all, before we log off of this joint, I need y'all to give a great and gracious offering. Several ways to give, especially for those who missed the offertory period earlier. You can give electronically via Cash App, PayPal, Givelify. If you want to send a check or money order to Abyssinian Baptist Church, send it to the P.O. Box that's on the screen, or mail it to 3890 Mill Branch, Memphis, Tennessee, 38116. There are times where I wish virtual service does not end. There are times where I wish months like Black History Month do not end, because right now it is in vogue for us to be Black AF, which y'all know, Abyssinian and PRC, ABC and PRC, Black AF 365. Put that in the comment section. That's Black and Faithful for those of you who need respectability language. Either way, I know our time has come to a close, and I look forward to seeing all of you back on the stream next Sunday, but especially those in the greater Memphis area. I always want to see you during our hybrid service at Abyssinian 3890 Mill Branch next Sunday. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. I hope y'all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. That's with the M. Type Valentine's with the M. Hope y'all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. I hope y'all have a great start to the Lenten season and journey. Abyssinian, I hope you have a strong conclusion to the Black Faith Fast, and I hope the Black Messiah meets you along your way and on your journey. Till we meet again, may God bless you and keep you. May God make God's face to shine upon you. May God go with you and give you peace and black power no matter where you go. I'll see y'all soon. Peace and love.